bum, bum, bum. It's time for some fun stuff. Let's see. Yes. And then we should do that. Okay, is oh shit. God damn it. Here we have it. This should we have. Man, maybe I should have a full cam. Let's see. Yeah. P1 and their prediction for 2024 Japanese Grand Prix will happen. And let's see. Yeah, will not be. I need some more bucket. So that's something I will be doing. So while I'm going to get some more buckets, let's see what prediction P1 have for the Japanese Grand Prix.
Our predictions for the 2024 Japanese Grand Prix. Right, let's get into predictions then. Before we dive into it, we've actually totted up the scores to remind everyone after only about 27 episodes of this series going. It is 7-6 to Tommy. So no one cares.
True, who cares?
Let's get into biggest good surprise.
Biggest good... Ricardo getting points. That's my goodest predictions. Or London Norris. No. I mean, I want London Norris to win the race, but will that actually happen? Probably not. And that's the sad part, but no. God damn it. I need a bucket again. At least I... God damn it.
Confident I'm getting a point for this one, so I'm going to lock it in right now.
But yeah, for me, Ricardo getting points.
Lando Norris, biggest...
Oh, Lando Norris, winner.
Good surprise. McLaren were great here last year. McLaren showed some
So Lando Norris a winner, probably.
This last time out in Australia. And I feel like Lando Norris could be on for something.
Yeah, he can win.
I see it on the horizon. Is it a win? Is it a podium?
Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen is fighting it out too much. And then he can win. Now we have the bucket and now we need to sleep.
Is it a DNF? I can't
Say
quite
that.
see. I can't quite see. No, I've just covered every angle there.
Yeah,
Is it
yeah.
a DNF? So, it could just be points. Could be not points. It's one of those 5.
My biggest good surprise. Hear me out. Charles Leclerc.
Oh my god.
Stop. Stop, Tommy. Just stop. Your biggest good surprise never comes in. How
No,
dare
this is
get
happening.
my
No,
man's
no,
name
no.
out of your mouth?
So mean. Say Charles Leclerc to make sure he will not have a good surprise.
You know those films where people wake up and they've like swapped bodies and they're like your conscious mind. People are gonna think that I'm you here, but I think the reason I've gone for biggest surprise is people need to start putting some respect.
Oh, he will be... No. He was P2 last race. So must be P1 then.
On Charles Leclerc's name, because Carlos Sainz has had a great start to the season and he has deservedly earned the praise that he has
No.
However, certain people are using that as a way to sort of bring down Charles Leclerc, think he's the most overrated driver ever, all this kind of stuff. And the guy is, 4 points behind Verstappen in the championship. He messed up qualifying in the last race. Still finished second, and that supposedly means that he's awful.
I'm glad you said it and not me, because it does feel like it is a case of, well, if Carlos does well, that means Charles doing bad, rather than Carlos is doing really well and Charles is doing well.
Yeah,
it is
they're
very
almost a victim of their own success, aren't they? Like the drivers like that.
Biggest flop now, and I am
The biggest flop must be Lewis Hamilton. I mean, yeah, Lewis Hamilton.
actually 3 from 3 at the moment. So
I mean, like, his season can only get worse. Or maybe it can only go better, but it will not.
we've been on something so far this year. So I am going to lock in my absolute. What are you making that face for?
I'm trying to remember who you predicted Japan last year and see if you go for the same, but I can't remember who it was.
I can't remember. No, I feel like I'm going to farm some good biggest flops out of this man this year. So Logan Sargent is my biggest flop. No, I'm just vibes as always, but I can just see in my mind's eye this chassis going to get repaired.
Or you could say more, he lost one race and now he's finally back to show that he is good, and then he will crash.
And it comes back, and then Logan makes an error, has some kind of crash.
Yeah, but
Icing eller inte icing?
Tjenare! Hur är läget?
prova igen.
Ingen fara. Han har bara fått en släng av SHL.
Oddset, stolt huvudsponsor till SHL.
Either that, or he'll be so slow because he doesn't want to break the chassis. It's one of the two.
Yes.
And that will constitute a biggest flop. And that is, not just on Logan, that's also on the team for only having one part for everyone, which is crazy.
Biggest flop. I've gone for
Lewis Hamilton.
Max Verstappen. Yes, I have.
God,
I
I'm wearing the Red
feel
Bull
like
shirt.
I know. I feel like there's this whole narrative that Max is gonna absolutely wipe the floor with everyone. It's his
And he will
revenge tour,
mostly
all this
do
kind of
that.
stuff. I've just got this vibe that,
He will
and I'm not
maybe
going to
finish
try
the
and
race
claim
second.
it that if he wins by 3 seconds, I'm going to be like, well, everyone thought he'd win by 40 seconds. Maybe it's what happened in Australia. I just think there's maybe got me a bit shaky, and this is going to. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Shaky.
But I just think that there's maybe another little twist and things could get exciting. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
London
I
Norris
hope you cash in
P1.
on that point so hard. I am so ready for a nice little early morning scream. So, okay. Oh, all right. Well, that's interesting because we now go to pole position.
London Norris.
And I am not on the vibe of what Tommy's saying about Max being floppy because it's Max Verstappen pole position for me. I feel like we've got a lot of pain coming our way this weekend. Max will do his utmost to lead every lap, perhaps even get pole, be top of.
He will lead every lap until the last lap. Something happens and Lando Norris takes the last lap and wins. That will be something. The safety car or something will make so Lando Norris will be P1 in the end of the race.
Every FP1 session for the whole of it. You've got like the Grand Chelem or whatever it's called. I feel like there should be a new one that Max is going to do where he leads every session at every point of the session.
Pole position, I've gone for Max Verstappen.
Oh, very floppy.
I know, very floppy, but look, quality's different, isn't he? He's
One
3
more
from
bucket.
3. and he's Mr. Saturday at the moment, like we said. So, look, can't do it on Sunday, only Saturday. So he's washed.
For those of you not getting Tommy's joke, it's obviously the first 2 races of the year were on a Saturday, so that's what Tommy's being a bit of a banter king about. I love it.
Such a good dad joke.
God, you're so daddy, aren't you? Wait, right. Let's get into our top 3 then, shall we? In third position, I am locking in Charles Leclerc. Thank you, Charles. Nice little podium again.
See, yeah, third position Charles Leclerc, second position Max Verstappen, and then the winner Lando Norris. Let's
Stands up there.
hope that
Boom.
happens.
Secure some good points. But third is all, I think,
Yeah,
we've got
true.
coming.
P3, I've gone for Carlos Sainz.
No,
So it's a thing he's going to do.
he's washed.
Solid job. This is the thing
We will
earlier,
not.
like you mentioned it, but like, you know, I said Charles Leclerc, biggest surprise, doesn't mean I have anything against Carlos Sainz. Like, you can respect both drivers, and they're both doing a good job.
In second
No,
position, I am locking in Lando Norris. Yep, so I'm going
Ooh.
full eggs in one
Lando
basket
Norris
for my biggest
P1.
good surprise,
Come
and
on.
also Lando finishing P2. Obviously, last year had an amazing Japan as well, but yeah, I feel as though it could be a
Sunday.
similar trend this year, although there is some chances of rain on Sunday, which is currently forecast.
the rain will make similar to Russia, but this time Norris the one that can go in the pit stop and get the win against Max Verstappen. Man, that would be amazing.
Which might make it slightly slippery. But yes, I think Lando is going to have a great weekend, so that's what I think. Sorry in advance.
P2, I've gone for Sergio Perez. So a bit of a
Nah,
better weekend for him. I mean, last time in Japan, he had probably the biggest shocker of the whole year for him, maybe.
he will have a
where,
good weekend, but
he
not
was
that good.
colliding with Magnussen in a Haas, and Max was winning by 40 seconds, and it was kind of like, what is he doing in that seat? But no, I think he's going to do a better job and carry on sort of the better start to the season that he's had.
In first position, Max Verstappen. Because I'm
Boring.
behind. I'm behind in
Yeah,
the points.
you're 1 point behind.
And I can't see what Tommy's absolutely... Oh my God, the ingredients you are currently working with right now are wild if you're about to say what I think you're about to say. So I'm glad that I might well just be getting a
The
free
new
point
kid
here
is
over
the
you,
right
Max Verstappen.
kid.
P1, I've gone for Max. No, I haven't. I've gone for Charles Leclerc.
He's leading the world championship.
Man. So, you have Max Verstappen, Thomas Leclerc, I have... Oh, what's his name? Lando Norris. Oh my god. The right kid have won. Then I have no bad to take when it's getting night. Or I can still steal the kid's bad. Oh, it's so night. Let's go and find a zombie.
Championship. He's leading the world. He's leading the world championship.
Yeah, these are the vibes I got, and I didn't even really clock that. Yeah, he'd be leading the world championship. And
Is he
based on my
DNFing, Tommy?
prediction,
In your mind's eye, is he having a double DNF?
a problem. Yeah, like maybe takes his front wing off at turn 1 or something, and has to get through the field, and Suzuki can't overtake it. I don't know. We'll see. Suzuki? Did I say Suzuki?
That could happen. It started raining exactly when he passed the pit, the pit. Yeah, the pit, but the fuck, where you drive in. Whatever it's called. And then Max, everyone behind him can go in the pit before him. So you need to go one more lap in the rain, while everyone can just go in the pit under that lap. And that makes so Lando Norris then wins.
I'm pretty sure I said Suzuka. Yeah, it hadn't quite occurred to me, but I mean, if my prediction comes in, it's Leclerc dominant, boring, championship over. It'd be what, like 20 odd points clear, and we'll be saying that Formula One's finished. And
Keep going.
Yeah.
Keep
going.
talking about how Charles Leclerc dominated. Okay, let's go to our one crazy prediction. And it's funny actually because
Crazy prediction. Mercedes will have one more bad race. And that will make so Ricciardo and Alex Albon and Tsunoda can get some nice points.
because I changed this at the last second before we started recording, and it
Boring.
was Charles Leclerc leads the World Championship. I kid you not. But I've deleted that because I don't want to put it into the atmosphere, because I think if both of us go one way, it's going to go completely the opposite, and Max Verstappen's going to gain 25 points on every one of his nearest competitors. So I'm going to go for, and this is interesting because it's happened in the last two races, not all 20 cars start the Japanese Grand Prix.
So what corner is Logan bidding at FP3?
Yeah, he's 11.
Savage. I have gone for Yuki Tsunoda is best of the rest again.
Yes, who will?
Formula B. So basically, you know, behind the big teams, I think the Yuki hype train is going to keep chewing and
It will.
hopefully
But
continue into his
Ricciardo
home
will start also.
Are we saying there's a chance that when we push that button,
No.
race, and then for some reason Red Bull still won't want to promote him or consider
No.
him at the seat? But I think, you know, I said he was biggest. We both actually said that he was going to be the biggest good surprise this year, and it may be coming in even more so far than we thought. And I think it's going to continue.
Sam, we know things.
Yeah, because we know what's going to happen. That's why
Yeah.
I've said, you know, Charles
just got so
Leclerc,
much
biggest
wheel
good
knowledge we can-
surprise,
Yeah.
Max Verstappen, biggest flop. You just know. We've seen the race. We get
Have
it's an
We've gone
embargo.
for two very different.
We get it
different
in an
results.
email from F1 first as an embargo, and then
Oh, Michael
They've
Masi.
sent us the script. It hasn't been recorded yet, but they've sent us the transcript. Now, finally, 3 crazy predictions from you wonderful lot. If you want to get involved, Matt P1 Tommy on social media. We post a graphic just before we record this. First one is Mariam X Sultan, McLaren double podium, and the little fingers crossed emoji. So they don't fully believe in it. They are.
KPM.
They need a bit of luck in there as well. Okay. Verka, race will not be finished due to rain. I hope that's not true. I want every single minute of that Formula 1 race in my eyes and ears. And finally, into the fast lane, Alpine points. All right, we can write that
No.
one off immediately then.
Well, they've got a slightly lighter car apparently.
Oh, yeah?
I read a
one of them
tweet that
taking the
said
appendix out or what?
the funniest thing is they said they've got a slightly lighter car, and then they're reverting back to the blue and black livery. So maybe blue is lighter than pink, and they've gained like 1
That's
gram or
great.
something.
Yeah. Gained it.
Man, that's... Oh my god. They can actually get points now, maybe.
Yeah.
Lost it, yeah.
Sorry, lost it. Yeah. I know F1.
We're a lighter car, we've gained a gram.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, that
Maybe
might
that's
be
what they're
helping.
doing wrong. They've got me in charge, so I'm going, you need to put more weight on, and they're like,
Yes, we need
Are
to
you
gain
sure?
grams. Come on, everybody.
yeah,
Let's paint it
downforce,
more.
right? It makes them heavier, so they have grip through the corners.
Yeah, science. You need to come and join us on Twitch, Matt P1 Tommy. If you want to
No.
watch along with us, if you've never done it before, come and join us. We live and breathe every emotion of the sport over on Twitch. We'd love to have you there.
That I
An
can actually
accompaniment
believe.
to your Formula 1 viewing.
Doesn't mean it's
And
good.
also, our live shows are next week. London and Bath still have a few tickets left if you'd like to come along.
No.
Link is in descriptions
Sounds
everywhere.
Not
Social
good.
media. The lot. P1 live show. We'd love to have you there if you still thinking about coming. And that is it. Tommy, thank you so much. My voice is going because I've got a slight sore throat, as you can probably tell. And we will catch you on the flip side.
Make sure you save your voice for Charles Leclerc leading the World Championship.
Stop, Tommy, honestly. This is you're teasing me a crazy amount right now. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Okay, so they... Let's see. God damn it, where do we have? So Max Verstappen the winner, Norris P2, Leclerc P3. I would say yes to Leclerc P3. But I will switch up with Verstappen and Norris. The last lap, rain, a safety car and everything like that. It will make Max not to win the race. And Norris will win the race because of rain. It will be the most amazing race ever. Mostly because it's first win. And then what do we have more? Leclerc the winner. Nope. Perez no. Sainz no. I mean, this prediction is really bad. I'm gonna no. Oh shit. No. We click that and then we click that. And we go away from that. And now it's time for something else. No, one more guy died. How many buckets? We have almost 4 buckets. I mean, at least 16 buckets is needed. Come on. Now we can, after all the ad stuff is gone, now it's time for from champs to champs. The sort of Ferrari's 180, yeah, 90-80 Formula 1 season. I feel like this could be a season when they really made a bad car. Maybe the worst car in history, but who knows? Let's see. Probably not. It could be.
We've seen over the years countless times where a team has won the World Championship, but when they have to go and defend it, the defence year isn't anywhere near as good. And it could be because the other teams have just genuinely caught up. Somebody's found a cheap hack that helps them sort of overtake the team that was previously the best. It could be just RNG with the reliability, or just a straight up fluke. Williams in 1998, Red Bull in 2014, Mercedes in 2022, Ferrari in 2005, all won the Constructors' Championship and or the Drivers' Championship the previous season.
True.
And then the following year, they're mere shadows of their former selves. They go from winning multiple races to only one.
Oh, McLaren 1998 to 1999 didn't do that in 2000.
Or two, or none, as the case may be. But absolutely mind-boggling thought of that if Indianapolis 2005 had gone as it should have done, Ferrari could have gone the whole season without a win, with Schumacher at the wheel. But what links all those seasons? Rule changes. Between 1997 and 1998, the track got narrower and the groove tyres came in, and then McLaren was the team at the top. Between 2013 and 2014, the hybrids came in, Mercedes was at the top. And between 2004 and 2005, with the tyre rules and the higher front wings, Ferrari dropped off, and it was McLaren and Renault at the top. 2021 and 2022, the switch to ground effect, and the start of the Red Bull years. Well, the restart of the Red Bull years. There's a distinct change in car construction that suited one team over another, or allows a reset button to be pushed, or it just jumbles up the order a bit as some teams decide to sacrifice one year for another. But if you're Ferrari in 1980, in terms of the overall regulations, not much changed, and they ended up going from winning the World Championship to, well, their worst season on record. The year before was 1979. Maths. As Lotus had been ahead of the game through 1978 with their ground effect cars, the rest of the teams were now scrambling to build their own, the Garagista teams especially, as Ligier were quick to the ground effect party with others developing in the background. Now this did cause a bit of a kerfuffle behind the scenes. There was a bit of a spat between Colin Chapman, aligned with the Fokker Alliance, and Ferrari, who were aligned with FISA, because while Fokker was willing to have the teams push the boundaries of what was doable, Ferrari wanted ground effect banned because it interfered with their engine design philosophy. Now Ferrari liked 12-cylinder engines, which were big and got in the way of the Venturi tunnels that were used to suck the car to the ground, and if ground effect was banned, they'd be able to carry on using their flat 12s and all was well in the world, at least on Ferrari's end. However, Ferrari had still managed to build a ground effect car, because if they wanted to win, they had no choice. Mauro Forghieri had taken the 312 that had been in use for several years by this point and modified it to be able to exploit the ground effect pioneered, at least in F1, by Lotus. While the car used ground effect, it was still heavily reliant on topside aero due to the flat 12 getting in the way. Also, this car was not designed with ground effect in mind. It was first introduced in 1974 and they were still using it with modifications, so it was still having to use the topside aero a bit because they were just basically shoehorning this ground effect in. It's not like these days where they take a car, then lob it in the bin at the end of the season and design a whole new one. Even though they might look a little bit the same, they're still completely new cars. And the engine that they were using was the same engine they'd been using in 1970. Okay, yes, the DFV still existed, but they were using engines that were really old, ancient by today's standards. The new 312 T4 was introduced for the South African Grand Prix and was immediately competitive. While Renault Jabouille got pole, it was a Ferrari 1-2 for Gilles Villeneuve and Jody Scheckter, which was followed up with another 1-2 at Long Beach. Scheckter and
and this is 1979.
Villeneuve's fortunes pre and post ground effect were noticeable. Both retired in Argentina, with both barely scoring points in Brazil, but with the 312 T4, things were better. Villeneuve did have races where he was outside of the points, but Scheckter was
Oh, the only one I recognize is Nicolauda and Mario Andretti. Man. When they were not on the top.
Consistently in them and would ultimately win the championship, 4 points ahead of his lightning-fast Canadian teammate. Reliability was on Scheckter's side too, as there is a lot less pink on his row of the results, along with Villeneuve's, versus the likes of Alan Jones. Although it's interesting to see here that Jones won more races than both of the Ferraris, 4-3, but he DNF'd too many times to make it count. So it looked like Ferrari had a decent base to then roll into 1980 and still be competitive. Scheckter was the champion in 1979, but maybe in 1980 it might be Gilles' turn. Yeah, about that. Basically, the Garagistas had found the winning formula. The DFV, which was still in use despite coming into service in 1967, well, 1968 if you begin it from when Lotus lost exclusivity, it was much smaller than Ferrari's 3-litre flat 12, which was far too wide to exploit the Venturi effect under the car. While the likes of Lotus, Ligier, Brabham and now Williams had made massive strides forwards, and Renault using turbo engines to keep sizes a bit more compact if a bit unreliable,
if this really was Ferrari not getting with the times, then they were going to be screwed.
As already mentioned, the car was now 6 seasons old and hadn't been designed with ground effect in mind.
Really? 6 seasons? Yeah. That's an old car. I mean, Mercedes can't even keep the car for 1 year. Even the full season.
It also produced a lot of drag because it was still using quite a bit of topside aero, while other cars of the era were turning up with front wings that were basically just for show. Lotus, Ligier and company were building brand new cars with ground effect in mind. Ferrari, meanwhile, had gone with a mere simple evolution. Ferrari's least competitive season to this point had been 1969, when Ferrari finished 6th and last of the point-scoring teams with only 7
Oh, maybe that was the season.
Points, in a season where Matra and Jackie Stewart tore.
Oh my god. Just 7 points? Wait, but... Oh, the old... points system. when it was like 8 for a win, I think. Let's see, 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 48, 7, 6, 5. And then maybe for fastest lap. 48, 58. Oh, maybe.
The series a new one. The season was peppered with retirements, and a podium at Zandvoort being the only high point of a rubbish season, although some would probably use an adjective a bit fruitier than that. So when they turned up in 1980 at the first round of the season, they were effectively doomed from the start. Their evolutionary car couldn't compete with the brand new models, and while the Flat 12 would give them a decent power advantage at anywhere where power was a premium, the all-new cars designed by their rivals were far too good in the corners for the 12-cylinder engine to overcome them. It really was shaping up to be a repeat of that awful 1969 season, a season where the Tifosi would be quick to scrub it from the records and their memories, if they could do so. Put simply, this car had more floor space than my house. Because the engine was so wide, the car had to be wide, and the Venturi tunnels were made bigger to exploit the ground effect. But because it had all the aerodynamic properties of Yokozuna, the Garagista teams were only ever going to destroy it. On top of this, the other cars improved and developed, while the Ferrari went nowhere in terms of development. A DFV-powered car with 18-inch wide tunnels is going to be narrower than a flat 12 with 18-inch tunnels. This thing was a brick, and actually the better description is to say that it went backwards over the course of the season. Now, just as a bit of extra bits and pieces here, it's been quite difficult to get accurate sizing of everything, so whether the car was as big as claimed online needs to be taken with a pinch of salt. Part of the arms race in terms of development meant that the tyres were being designed to try and keep up. Ferrari had complained quite loudly about the Michelins they and Renault were using in 1980, and Michelin's development had been tailored more to the Renaults and the turbos they had, with Ferrari stopping for fresh tyres being a common sight throughout 1980. The 1980 car was basically the 1979 car, but with only a few modifications. The mini-skirts on the side were worse than they had been in 1979, and the glass resin side pods were not stiff enough to cope with the newer, improved cornering forces. Because the car couldn't corner as hard, the tyres weren't warming up to their optimal, and the snowball gets bigger. The worst point came at the Canadian Grand Prix at Montreal. Piquet had scored pole by around 0.8 of a second ahead of Jones, but down near the bottom, in 26th place, was Scheckter. Under modern Formula 1 rules, this would be a qualification, but since only 24 cars could start this race, it's down as a non-qualification. There was no 107% in those days, so as long as you were in the top 24, you were starting, no matter how far off the pace you were. Villeneuve, meanwhile, managed to qualify 22nd and get himself up to 5th as people dropped out of the race. But for the world champion in the Constructors' Championship winning car from the previous season, he wasn't on the grid because he was too slow. That's embarrassing.
Oh, let's see. Nelson Piquet. Oh, Keke Rosberg. Do an Alan Prost. I mean, I heard his name, but I don't know so much. Mauro Andretti. Oh, this name I also heard. Mas. Oh, jo, det är Scheckter. Ferrari. Where do we have the? Oh, there we have the next Ferrari.
Villeneuve scored the best results of the season.
God damn it, add.
Testa detta hemma.
Oh shit. Go away, music. Oh my god, fucking bad trying to ruin everything.
To 6th places, while Scheckter's only Villeneuve scored the best results of the season, 2 5th places and 2 6th places, while Scheckter's only finish in the points all year was at the USGP West at Long Beach. From the race in California to the end of the season, Scheckter was never close to scoring a point, as it was only the top 6 scoring in those days. If social media existed back then, he'd be called washed. 8 points in all are scored, which is only 1 point more than that horrendous 1969 season, and actually, both seasons have a few parallels. I mentioned before about Ferrari being slow to embrace new ideas. There's that famous quote from Enzo where he said, "Aerodynamics is for people that can't build engines," as he believed that having the biggest engine with the most amount of power was the way to win.
Oh, almost like Mercedes. They had the best engine, and now they actually need to make a good car. They're nowhere. Still good engine, but the car around it is bad. Man.
Whereas in Britain the mantra was, at least from Chapman, simplify and add lightness, although both approaches had their issues. You know, I'm not going to say that the Lotus approach was better because their cars were notoriously fragile and it was luck that you finished more than anything. Even Jim Clark, someone who was ever so gentle with his mechanical parts, fell victim to this fragility. So when Lotus and the other teams started whacking wings on the cars for downforce, Ferrari was slow on the uptake, because engine power over everything else. By the time 1969 rolled around, the DFV was in the hands of anybody that wanted to buy one, and wings were commonplace. Ferrari had put wings on the 312 in 1969, but they couldn't get them to work like the other teams had. The DFV powered cars were also lighter and handled better thanks to also being shorter because they had 4 fewer cylinders. Powerful engines were done in racing. It was all about handling. Although it should be said at this point that it...
Like Red Bull have done with their car. This is what Mercedes has done with their amazing car.
It was also a rebuilding season for Ferrari. Around this time, Enzo had sold 50% of his team to Fiat and was using that money invested by Fiat to help rebuild the team. So it's a little bit more than just aerodynamics bad, I don't want wings, I'm Enzo Ferrari, I'm going to do it my way. Although reading up on some stuff here, because the anoraks on the Autosport forums usually have something interesting to say, is that the rumour of the time was that Lotus's secrets to success was some sort of trick differential that became something of an obsession for Forghieri. Whether Lotus had intentionally psyched everybody out by having a limited slip diff that could do black magic when really it was just a ground effect, I don't know, but it is something to consider. But one thing to remember as well is that ground effect was still an untapped thing around this time, and turbos had been...
Almost like in 2022. Only Red Bull 100% knew how to do it.
Looked at as the future, so the flat 12 design was on borrowed time, as was the fabled DFV. It seems that Ferrari had done just enough through 1979 before the dynamic shift, and they were basically in the right place, right time with that particular car, and having one that was a bit more reliable. By the time 1980 rolled around, the modifications to the car had been a backward step, and they had begun development on their own turbo engine at this point. So really, it was a mix of resource allocation, bad car, and not being able to understand what was wrong with their bad car. There is a story floating around.
Like Mercedes now. They don't know anything why their car is bad, or well, they have some theories, but nothing that will. God damn it! Why? Why so mean? Hey, your time.
Around online that they went to about 5 different wind tunnels, and at each of those wind tunnels with the same model of car, they got 5 different results.
Ooh, almost was with Mercedes, but whatever they do, they get the same numbers. But in real life, it's give.
Either way, the car was so bad that Scheckter just quit racing at the end of the season, or at least quit Formula 1. He only scored 2 points all year in his title defence season, so yeah, he was gone. While Villeneuve, meanwhile, still had a desire to win. That's probably why Villeneuve did a lot better throughout the course of the season. He was much hungrier than Scheckter was. Ferrari did learn a lesson from this season, though. For 1981, they introduced the 126C, a V6 turbo-powered car that was borrowing from Renault and really helped usher in the turbo years. Enzo had hired Nicola Materazzi to help build this, as Materazzi had been part of the team building the turbocharged Lancia Stratos GR5. The car was an immediate improvement and won 2 races in the hands of Villeneuve, but was still unreliable. With the arrival of Harvey Postlethwaite for 1982, Ferrari was looking certain to take a driver's title, before fate intervened. On top of this, Ferrari had also issued some bits and pieces regarding a 312 ground effect car that took design ideas from the famous Tyrrell 6-wheeler, even going as far as to look at an 8-wheeler, although these were just mock-ups designed to keep the other teams on their toes. Would have been cool if they built a working prototype though. But yeah, 1980, possibly Ferrari's worst ever season. Yes, they scored fewer points, well, one fewer point in 1969, but this was a championship defence season, and they got utterly crushed by the competition that had simply taken everything to the next level and left Ferrari behind.
Could this happen to Mercedes? I mean, it's almost happened to Alpine now.
So, really, they went from champ to chump.
Mercedes.
But is it really their worst ever season? I'll leave it down to you to discuss in the comments. So then, a look at Ferrari's utterly atrocious 1980 season. If this has been something you've enjoyed learning about today, then do leave a like on the video so I know I've done a good job. And for more like this, make sure you're subscribed with that bell on so you never miss out on anything else I do around here. Massive thanks as ever to the fine bunch of lads over at Patreon that continue to support the channel at a more personal level. And if you want to help keep things running around here, then a link to Patreon is in the description, along with links to Discord, socials, and other bits and bobs that you might want or need to know. Other super thanks and memberships if you want to do stuff that way. So until next time, I've been Aidan Millward, have a great day wherever you are, and goodbye.
Ooh. Okay, go away. Let's see. Yeah. Let's do some Kym Illman for the last part.
G'day, the last.
Good day, mate.
G'day. The Las
G'day,
Vegas
mate.
Grand Prix was one of
Let's
the
see.
best races
Yeah.
of 2023.
Yes.
It was eagerly awaited, hotly debated, and even hated by many locals. But was it a success? Let's have a look at the numbers.
I mean, I think Las Vegas was mostly a joke. You could almost go to Saudi Arabia somewhere else. And you wouldn't... Well, you could maybe see some difference, but how everything was going, it wasn't so much difference. How the cameras was and what they filmed, it was like... nothing.
Well, the overall attendance was 316,000 people. That's inclusive of spectators, team personnel, media, and other support staff. That equated to some 145,000 unique travellers from around the world. Now, this info comes from the 2023 Las Vegas Grand Prix debriefing report prepared by the Clark County Manager's Office. In this report, they state that the economic impact from this first race was in the order of $1.5 billion, billion with a B, during year one. That's overall visitor spending, along with infrastructure and event operations. Let's look at the visitor spend. I think this is the most interesting one. $884 million. Now, a typical Las Vegas visitor will stay for 3.4 nights and spend around $1,200 each. But an F1 visitor last year stayed for 4.1 nights, that's up by 25%, and spent more than $4,100 per trip. That is 3.6 times more than an average visitor. And that $4,100 included spending on accommodation, food, beverage, local transportation, shopping, gambling, and
So
entertainment,
fancy,
but not a race ticket. You add that on top, and that could be anywhere from $1,000 to $35,000, and you can see that this generated a lot of money coming into that city. Now, the casinos in particular needed to see a big increase in turnover that weekend because they, like lots of other businesses in Las Vegas, had to endure some real heartache with road closures, infrastructure updates, etc. So were they happy?
No.
They were thrilled, and so was Clark County, because the race generated more taxes than any other event in Las Vegas's history. $77 million during the first year. The development of race-related infrastructure, including the pit building, supported nearly 2,200 jobs. Event operations and visitor spending activities supported nearly 5,100 more. So in total, this event was responsible for about 7,200.
And how many... Okay, so new jobs. Okay, nice.
Jobs in the first year. And in that first year, wages to locals, about 452 million. And what about media exposure? Because that is an important part for Las Vegas. They want to get their branding out to the world. Well,
Okay, I mean, losing impact, okay. But you said something about if this was a success. Well, for who?
it was huge and global. During race week, the media reach was 2.7 billion, and that reflected the most successful exposure across all platforms for an inaugural event in the US for Formula One.
Oh my god, the drivers going in was so weird. And the ending of the race was also weird. Where's the zombie? Where are you, zombie?
Coverage included more than 1.1 million media mentions by 310,000 unique authors covering the event and Vegas. Importantly, the global TV audience was 59.1 million, and social media impressions totaled 1.25 billion, with nearly 55 million engagements and 300 million video views. Imagine having to count all that. And when you think about it, this event was not very long in the planning. For instance, this pit building here was designed, reviewed, permitted and inspected in just 18 months. And yes, this report does acknowledge that
And should you rush everything
there
you
was
do?
significant disruption to traffic in the lead up. It was one of the biggest complaints, and you might remember this clip from one of my pre-event videos.
We're down maybe about 2 million at this point in sales since the construction. They've been working on it all summer. They tore up the road, they closed this entrance, they closed our other entrance.
And there were plenty more stories like this. The report goes into some detail about the impact on aviation, and these figures are stunning. On race day, Las Vegas Airport was the second busiest in the country, with just under 2,200 operations, 28 behind Atlanta. Now, with so many flights in such a short time, they even had to open another airport, Henderson Airport, and they brought in Customs and Border Patrol staff to process international arrivals. NetJets, well, they flew in some 442 private flights, most of those going through Henderson, and for the first time in history, a 747 operated at Las Vegas Airport. It was a cargo flight. Although I found this note that last-minute decisions about fireworks and the drone show caused some challenges for final approval. So what about...
Som medlem hos Preem har du 50 kronor rabatt när du tvättar bilen hela våren.
3 misconceptions people believe about milkshakes and why they are wrong. 1. Milkshakes should replace every single meal. False. They are a quick and nutritious meal option, but they don't replace every meal of the day. 2. Milkshakes are unhealthy. False. Jimmy Joe's Plenty Shake is developed by a dietitian. It is natural and has all the nutrients you need in just 2 scoops. And 3rd, milkshakes are super expensive. Definitely false. Plenty Shake costs only €1.52 per meal, which is way cheaper than getting takeout. So if you want an easier way to eat healthy, try Plenty Shake now.
No, how about not trying it? Scam stuff.
2024, how is that looking? Well, I had a look through hotels.com yesterday and I felt that there were a lot more hotels available at this time of year than there were last time. The cheapest I saw was the Sunrise Inn for 493 Aussie, that's about 321 US, and the most expensive was the Signature MGM at 17,000 Australian, 11,000 US. On the ticket front, the cheapest ticket you can get this year is $150 US plus. And that's for a general admission ticket in the new Flamingo zone. You can get a 3-day ticket in that zone for $600 plus. Now, it took me some time to work out what the pluses were. The first one is a live entertainment tax of 9%, and the second one is a charge from the supplier, which I'm gathering might be a handful of dollars. And those tickets are standing room, but there are some raised viewing platforms. And last year, all of the tickets had an element of food and drink included. But in this zone, you will pay for your food and drink. What about grandstands? Well, you can get the Harmon.
Oh my god, fucking... Nobody cared about it. Was...
grandstand for $1,500 plus, or pitch straight at $2,750 plus, and both of those do include soft drinks and food. And then if you've got very deep pockets, you can pay up to $35,000 for the F1 garage, or drop it down a cog to the Paddock Club for 15,000, plus of course. This year we're racing from November 21 to 23. Once again the race is on Saturday night. That's our third Saturday race for the year. And thankfully the practice sessions and quali have moved back by 2 hours. So last year we had FP2 and quali kicking off at midnight, which was ludicrous. At least now we're coming back to 10 p.m. and the other sessions will go back by 2 hours as well. Now, given it's the second year of the race, I think you'll find that a lot of those disruptions and dramas that we had last year will be a thing of the past. Certainly all those involved in the event have learnt very valuable...
this is America, so maybe this will be every year.
Lessons. But I do hope there's more light in the paddock because it was terrible to photograph in there. Now, given the excitement of last year's actual on-track action during the race, I think this race will sell out. And my tip on where to sit...
Fuck me.
Well, most of the action that I saw was taking place at the end of the straight on the boulevard, Las Vegas Boulevard, where they turn left into Harmon. But there's no grandstands there. That's smack bang up against hotels and all sorts. So maybe you might be best off getting a suite or a room at the Cosmopolitan on that front tower that overlooks the track. And if you can, get a lower level room because that would be sensational. Otherwise, the pit straight and perhaps towards turn 1 might be your next best bet. Most of you would be aware that F1 is actually the owner of this race and the promoter, and they have another 9 more races to go in their contract. I can tell you that the hierarchy was very worried after that incident with Carlos Sainz in FP1 that caused that delay in FP2 starting and obviously cost Carlos a fair amount of drama because he took an engine penalty. But I think this report, along with the quality of racing that we experienced, will have F1 high-fiving each other because it looks like it's going to be a ripper event. Yes, there'll still be plenty of locals who will be unhappy with the situation, but I'm suggesting that the number of those people will be lower than last year, and hopefully a lot of that drama involving track setup and pack-up will be reduced. If you have the chance to get along to the Las Vegas Grand Prix, I think you'll be richly rewarded. It is very much a party atmosphere. Yes, it is certainly at the higher end of pricing in terms of hotels, tickets to the event, food and beverage. Of course, if you're staying on Las Vegas Boulevard or anywhere in that entertainment area, you'll be pretty much right on top of the action. That's what I loved about it. Now, for those of you F1 fans looking for something unique and valuable for your home or office, grab one of these signed prints from a range of drivers and even past world champions. KymIllman.com is where you'll find them, and with every print comes a digital image of the driver signing your individually numbered print for irrefutable proof of authenticity. There's a lot of fakes out there in the marketplace. These are 110% genuine. And for a whole lot of extra content and merchandise, have a look here at these links. Oh, and these bucket hats will be released shortly, although not this one because somebody pointed out there is no map of Tasmania on this hat. So that's got to be remedied. Thanks for watching and stay passionate.
I mean, true. It was Las Vegas GP Economics Impact, but you said... I heard something about success and... almost nothing went through how good the race actually was. Oh shit! The clip isn't finished. Let's see what we'll have.
Which created some challenge. What about my dogs?
And now let's see. He did something about the movie. And let's see. Yeah. This. I can watch this and then it will be the end. No. Stop with that music. No more iron golem here. Oh my god, falling down and dying, that would be so annoying. Oh, we have one here. Oh shit. You started.
G'day.
G'day,
Last
mate.
year I produced a video about Brad Pitt's F1 movie, but just as I finished it, the actors' strike kicked in and everything changed. So have a look at this first edit and then I'll come back and fill you in on what's happened since. Did you know that we had an extra fictional F1 team on the grid at Silverstone? The extra team? Apex. Yes, not a real team, part of a movie which stars Brad Pitt. And how did they go? Well, one car didn't even get off the line, while the other one went just 400 metres before it turned left before the first corner and headed off to a runoff zone. So does this movie have a title yet? No, it's just being referred to as the as yet untitled Apple F1 movie. And Apex, APX, is the name of the fictional team which will race against the other teams but only in the movie. And Silverstone...
Why is such a weird name? Why not trying to use one of the old names?
was the first time that we've seen the film crew at a track. So did their cars actually race against any of the F1 cars at any stage over that weekend? No, but they did race against themselves. They were out on track doing filming on a number of occasions, and these were at times when F1 wasn't running on track. Their car's an F2 car, as you can see here, the rear wings.
Yeah, and this with Brad Pitt's F1 movie behind the scenes.
Slightly smaller than an F1 car, and it's clearly shorter and narrower than the F1 cars. This is the livery that you'll be seeing.
Oh my god, how we actually want the car
in the movie. And yes, many of you have already noted that it looks very much like the Haas livery of 2019. And who are the two-star drivers for Apex? Well, we've got Sonny Hayes, Brad Pitt, racing in the number 7 car. Of course, Kymmy was the last person that used number 7. And you've got Joshua Pierce, played by Damson Idris, who's in the number 9 car. And can you remember the last driver to use number 9?
Nikita
I had to look it up.
Mazepin.
It was Nikita Mazepin. Now, don't doubt that this is a huge step for Formula One, and they've been so accommodating with the film crew. They have and will be allowing them to film both on track and in the paddock. They're giving them unequalled access, and all of the 20 F1 drivers will be part of the movie.
God.
Yes, Sonny and Joshua will be racing alongside all of those 20 drivers. Now, Brad Pitt is a huge name, but also on board is Jerry Bruckheimer. Now, you probably know him more so.
Holy fuck, that scared me so much. I could have died there. The fuck is... Where is the skeleton? Oh my god. Thank you, Gollum. Sadly, you will... Get back
for
to
the
that.
Top Gun series of movies. He is a huge name in Hollywood and has no doubt helped get this movie up with F1. So what do we know about the plot? Well, while it's pretty closely guarded, what we do know is that Brad Pitt will be playing Sonny Hayes, who's a former F1 racer who's previously had a horrible crash, and he bows out of the sport. Sonny returns to F1 to partner Joshua Pierce, played by Damson Idris, in the team Apex, spelled APX. Of course, they're no Red Bull, they're more like a back...
Apex. So have one more A and then you have the game.
Of the grid team, starting from last position, and they've never won a point. So how much input will the current F1 drivers have? Not a great deal. However, with their amazing access, on the Friday night of the Silverstone race, I got word that Brad Pitt had been allowed into the driver's briefing. Now that's almost unheard of. I got wind of this just prior to the driver's briefing started and actually had a chat with a couple of drivers as they went in and said, listen, I think you're going to have Brad Pitt in there, which they were quite excited about, and you probably have seen Pierre Gasly's post with a picture of Brad and a couple of drivers in that driver's briefing. So what was the purpose of that? Well, I think it's to give Brad an idea of what they actually do at these meetings, and secondly, for Brad to say thank you to the drivers for them agreeing to take part in the movie. Is this the first time that we've seen Brad Pitt at an F1 race?
Probably not.
No, he was at Austin last year and very popular, visiting a number of the drivers and teams. We'll see him a number of other times throughout the year as well. and I think we are in for a real treat. Did he have much security around him? Yes. 2 or 3 guys clearing the path as he walked through the paddock. I caught him late Friday after he'd done the driver's briefing, leaving the track, and he actually stopped outside the swipe gates, posed for a couple of selfies, and signed a couple of autographs, which I thought was great of him. So is this the first time that F1's been part of a movie? I believe yes, but it very nearly was the second time, because going back to 2001, was a movie released by Sylvester Stallone called Driven. Now that movie could well have been about Formula One, because in 1997 it was announced that Stallone had agreed a deal with Bernie Ecclestone to base a film around the sport. And over those couple of years that ensued, Stallone was seen around the paddock conducting research, but the project never got off the ground, partly because the teams weren't happy about providing information to him, and then Bernie became concerned that if the film ended up being a bit of a shocker, it would tarnish F1's reputation. And judging how Driven turned out, that was a shrewd move on Bernie's part. Some say it was such a bad movie, it was good. What did I see? I saw a lot. For a start, they had their own garage. When I went on the Thursday morning, first time to have a look, I went to one end because I thought they'll be at either position 1, or at the other end, at position 11. I thought, oh, they're at neither. They were smack bang between Ferrari and Mercedes. They'd been given a prime spot in the pit lane. And the garage setup was every bit as good as some of the teams, maybe even better than some. It looked to me like they had all of the right kit in view, and it wouldn't surprise me if some of the F1 teams at the end of the movie said, hey, we wouldn't mind buying some of this stuff off you. And that detail even came down to little things like the air tanks used to power the rattle guns that take the nuts off the wheels. Did I see a car in the garage at any stage? Only on the Thursday when the teams offered all the media a bit of a look at how the garage would be set up. Not that that happened again at any time over the weekend. And in fact, during the sessions when the cars were on track, F1 photographers and media were asked not to go anywhere near them in the paddock, save that they give away details of the plot. Like the other F1 teams, the only real signs we saw of the cars were the front wings that were displayed out the front of the garage. And interestingly enough, my most popular post of the weekend was simply a photo of the garage with Brad Pitt's character's name above it and the car number. And did they have a pit wall crew? Yes, and it was very clearly visible and videoed in a number of different sessions. They had huge rigs and...
oh my god, it's like the house. Just 4 people.
Going back to Thursday.
Or do they have 3 people?
In the paddock, they had this monster rig, which has a US $600,000 mechanism at the front. Near the pit wall, there were also pit boards. Here's Sonny Hayes' pit board with his American flag, and of course Damson Idris plays a British driver. So what were the track sessions like? Well, 2 cars would go out. On the first couple of sessions that I didn't photograph, they had a lot of camera kit on the cars, and they were loud, and they would drive on their own around the track with crowds in the stand on Friday and Saturday and film bits and pieces, obviously with the cars running next to each other, behind, in front. And then come Sunday, both cars took off from the grid, as I mentioned earlier. Let's jump back out to the paddock, and just behind the garage, where a team would normally have their engineering motorhome, they had a huge storage area covered by F1 signage. And inside there was a whole lot of kit required to produce the movie. Did they have a hospitality motorhome? Yes. It was unlabeled, and it was a lot smaller than everything else in the paddock. And I do remember a colleague of mine, when I mentioned that that's their motorhome, said, "You're not going to win a championship with that piddly thing." And it was a marked step down from everybody else's. But it was somewhere for the crew to go and have a meal and be catered for when there was nothing happening. Why do you think they picked Silverstone to do their first filming? Well, I think it's because the pit lane is unique. Most other tracks, you have garages, pit lane, and a wall, and maybe the wall is 1 metre or 2 or 3 metres wide. In Silverstone, they have the luxury of many metres, and it's grassed. So they could set up a lot of their camera kit out there on the other side of pit lane, between the track and pit lane, and get a lot of their vision. And they had a lot of crew, and they were identified by different types of bibs. This is the bib we normally wear for that race. Look at what they had, very clearly marked with APX. And I hear that Martin Brundle might even play a cameo role in the movie as a driver that Sonny raced against in the past. That's a clever move on the producer's part, because that would bring in a whole lot of genuine fans eager to see how Martin goes in a movie. But honestly, I think that every single person in Formula One will watch this movie, and I think a lot of the fans will want to see how they treat our sport. Did you know that Lewis
I don't
Hamilton
think
has
so.
taken on a role as executive producer? He's providing a whole lot of expert advice. And what sponsors does the fictional Apex...
Like what? Jag menar, Mercedes haven't listened to him in soon 3 years, so can't be so good.
team have? IWC watches. Expensify, they're an expense report platform. Tommy Hilfiger, Mercedes AMG, MSC Cruises, who already sponsors Formula One, Geico Insurance, an American insurance company that has not, as far as I can remember, ever had anything to do with Formula One. EA Sports, they produce video games, including the F1 video game. Pirelli, OMP race suits, and even FIA has their logo on the front wing, like all the other cars. Let's get back to all the other teams and how they're involved in this film. One thing I can tell you is that no team or driver will be depicted as a villain or in a bad light. All the rivalry takes place within the Apex team. I can't wait to see the movie. How long will I be waiting?
Sure.
I'm guessing 1 to 2 years. And unfortunately, we don't have any date for release of the movie. I guess it all depends on how production and editing goes. Rest assured, this is going to be a very big movie when it comes to the sport. And hats off to the people at F1
Probably
who've
not.
made this happen. They've obviously had to provide the film crew with a lot of access that previously has never been given to anyone else. And as a result, I think this movie...
I mean, it would be really sad if it gets bigger than... I mean, Hunter is a louder movie.
It will be a stunner, but it's a Hollywood movie, and there'll be a whole lot of inconsistencies that you and I will say, hang on a second, we don't do that in Formula One. But the average person watching the film is not going to have any interest at all in whether
So why would they even watch the movie?
they have portrayed one or two things slightly wrong. Well, a week after the crew filmed at Silverstone, the Screen Actors Guild strike kicked in, meaning that
So
4 of
beautiful.
the movie's actors couldn't take part. Brad Pitt, Damson Idris, Kerry Condon and Javier Bardem. But that didn't mean things came to a halt with the movie. They shot without those cast members in Hungary, Monza, Las Vegas and Abu Dhabi, and then sent smaller crews to the Netherlands and Spa. And in Las Vegas and Abu Dhabi, they turned up for a number of specific shots. When I say smaller crews, I'm talking numbers less than 50 people. Does that sound like a lot? It's not. This is a major production, and in Silverstone, they had 300 to 400 people on site. Well, not on site at the track, but certainly in Silverstone, most of them away from the track at a facility. It's worth noting too that this was the only major studio production to continue shooting during that actors' strike. The editors still had vision to edit, and that vision had to be provided by F1 in a different format suitable for movie screens. It was always the plan to return to F1 in 2024 for the production crews. Obviously now they've got a lot more to do this year. And at what tracks can you expect to see them this year? Well, there'll be big units at Silverstone, Hungary and Spa, along with the cast, and there'll also be shoots in Mexico, Las Vegas and Abu Dhabi.
Mexico.
In Austin last year, various F1 people and all the drivers saw a short edit of the footage, and the feedback was positive from all. There's no doubt that F1 views this
Sure.
as a huge opportunity for the sport, produced by some of the biggest names in the entertainment world. The movie's set to launch in 2025, and I'll be doing all I can to see if I can snare a seat at the much vaunted launch. Now, with that said, half of you have not subscribed yet, so please hit
No.
the subscribe button and like this video. And to see all my other stuff on the internet, here's a whole lot of links. Thanks for watching, and stay passionate. Thanks for that. Okay. Rightio.
Okay, so the movie. I mean, yeah, let's see how good that will be. Now we have some more extra pockets. We can put away that and that and put this here. That there. take that out and place more stuff here. Take out that. Yeah, and then we place everything. This we keep. This will be put away. What? Oh, did I mind? Okay. I mean the name. Come on, if this team is trying to be with other teams, I mean, these are Cash Up RB Formula 1 team and Stake F1 team Kick Subber. Maybe isn't that far off being a bad names, but Apex, like why? So weird name. But yeah, let's see, where will I we stop here like before. And that was that. And it's Wednesday today, and then Thursday, and then it's Formula 1 weekend. Oh, that one I should pick. And I can end with Lando Norris a win. The rain makes him be able to pit earlier than Max Verstappen, and then he win the race. So Max P2 and then Leclerc P3, and then we have Sergio Perez. Let's see, I need to, so I can actually go off a list to make it more easily to yeah. Lando Norris P1, Max Verstappen P2, Charles Leclerc P3, then Sergio Perez P4, Carlos Sainz P5, Oscar Piastri P6, Fernando Alonso P7, Yuki Tsunoda P8, Alex Albon P9, and P9 Ricciardo P10. So Mercedes will have a really bad race again. And Stroll also, but who cares? So that's that. So hopefully that